Hi everyone, it's me, Curtis, your effective speech instructor. Sorry, I'm a little tired. I hope you all are well. It is Friday, May 29th, and I'm going to hopefully this weekend get to watching your first speech submissions. I'm teaching 3 online public speaking courses right now, and so it's pretty crazy the number of speech videos that I have to watch. So I'm trying to get caught up. But anyway, today I wanted to introduce speech 2, okay? So you probably already know this, but just in case you don't, on the Canvas page in the file section, there's a folder called assignment sheets. The all of the assignment sheets for all of your speech and homework assignments are in that file. But anyways, specifically speech 2, the assignment sheet is in that file. And then there's also a speech 2 related handouts folder, okay? I'd like you to take a look at all the documents in there. And then I'm also going to send you guys links for 2 videos that I put together recently where I discuss introductions and another video where I discuss conclusions. So now that we're moving into speech 2, it's very important that you do your best to have all elements of the speech put together, obviously including the performance, but all areas of the speech are vitally important. You've probably heard that saying that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So when it comes to a speech, if you're lacking in one area, it negatively affects everything. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the assignments sheet for speech 2. Okay. So for your second speech, I'd like you to talk about a potential career field that interests you. It could be the actual career that you're pursuing through your college education, or let's say it was a dream job that you may not actually be pursuing, but maybe in another universe you would pursue. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the actual career path that you plan on going. It can be, as I just said, your dream career. So it's up to you. All right. So as you start to think about your speech, please note that you must include the following information in your speech, okay? Background information on your academic or career field of choice, why or how you became interested in this particular field, what advantages does your career field have over others, what are any possible disadvantages that your career may have, for example, long hours or having to go to school for several years, etc. And finally, what type of training or education is needed to get into this particular career field, okay? So all of these things must be included in your speech. I don't care if you're talking about being a physical therapist or a rodeo clown. Regardless of the actual occupation that you're speaking about, you need to include all of that information, okay? So really, what I'd like you to think is your job is to convince your audience that your career field of choice is worth their consideration as a potential academic major or career path for themselves. So obviously, you're basically giving the speech to me, I know, but I'd like you to pretend that you had an audience, and maybe in that audience, so you have 20 people, and maybe half to 2/3 of the class may be pretty set on what they plan on doing as far as their career. But there may be a handful of people in your imaginary classroom who are undecided, and that by you giving a speech on this particular career field, you may spark their interest in this particular career field and then encourage them to maybe look into it further. So best case scenario, you convince some members of your audience to take a more thorough or a harder look into your career field. Worst case scenario, you've educated the audience. So even if you have people in the audience who say, hey, no, I know I'm going to be an accountant and that's just the way it is, I'm set on that, and then you give a speech on being a physical therapist, worst case scenario, now you've educated your audience on what a physical therapist does. So it's really kind of a win-win situation, okay? Well, in a similar fashion that when you know from when you write a paper, you have a thesis statement. In a speech, I'd like you to have a thesis statement somewhere in your introduction that basically lays out for the audience, hey, this is what I believe and this is what I'm going to be talking about. So a sample thesis statement might look something like this. I believe that being a physical therapist is a great career field for the following reasons. Blah, blah, blah. In my presentation today, I'm going to discuss why I believe that being a physical therapist is a great career field. Also, I'm going to discuss how I became interested in this career field. And then I'm going to also discuss some advantages of this career field, some possible disadvantages, and then finally I'm going to discuss the educational process that one must go through in order to become a physical therapist. So see what I've just done there is that I've let the audience know, hey, this is what I believe, this is what I'm going to be talking to you about today, and that this is the order in which I'm going to be talking to you about these things. So setting it up like that, it's good because number one, it helps you as the speaker to have yourself organized, okay? But for the audience, when you let the audience know in the introduction, hey, this is what I'm going to be talking about, this is the order that I'm going to proceed in, it sets the audience up so now that they're in their mind, they go, okay, I'm ready to go now. This is what he's going to be talking about. This is the order, and they're going to be more receptive and probably be able to assimilate the information that you're transmitting to them more easily. Okay. Required time for this speech is 5 to 7 minutes. If you do, I believe I mentioned this for speech one, but I'll go over it again. One technique that is useful is the 20-60-20 method. So for this speech, for example, 5 to 7 minutes. So let's say you shoot for 6 minutes. You shoot in the middle. Okay, so we know that you shoot for 6 minutes. 20% of the 6 minutes will be approximately your intro. 60% of the 6 minutes will be the main body of your speech. And then finally, approximately 20% of 6 minutes will be your conclusion. And then when you look at the main body, that 60%, if you're going to be talking about the advantages and disadvantages and the educational process, those are already 3 things that will make up the main body of your speech, so you break that down even further. A fair amount of students like to talk about how or why they became interested in their career field as part of their introduction. And one of the reasons why I feel it's important to discuss with the audience how or why you became interested in this career field is that it adds a human element to your speech. You're going to be giving a lot of facts and figures and statistics and information about your career field, which is awesome, but having a personal side of it or a personal element to your presentation, most audience members like that, and it'll probably make your speech more profound or more powerful. For example, I've had students over the years, using the physical therapist example, students over the years talk about how they wanted to be a physical therapist because they hurt their knee in high school and they had to go through physical therapy, and when they went through the process they saw what the physical therapist did and how much it helped them as an individual, and that kind of sparked their interest. You see what I'm getting at. Another kind of a profound example is that I had a student several years ago who was a nursing major, and the way that she became interested in nursing was that she happened to be visiting a relative at the hospital, and she saw all of the things that the nurses did and how the nurses took care of the patients, and that had a profound effect on her and made her want to do the same thing. She realized that, wow, these nurses do great work, they take care of people, they help people, I'd like to do the same thing. So talking about how or why you became interested adds a human element, okay? Okay, as I mentioned, 5 to 7 minutes. You'll notice on the assignment sheet I say here that any speeches more than a minute over 7 minutes will be docked 1 letter grade. Additionally, any speeches more than 30 seconds under 5 minutes will be docked 1 letter grade. It really depends. It's been my experience that if a speech is short, it usually means that the speaker did not put enough time in research. They didn't include enough information in their speech. If a speech is long, especially if it's exceedingly long, like over a minute, past 7 minutes, it means that the speaker got a lot of information together, but then they dropped the ball in rehearsals. When you're after you put your speech together and then you're practicing it several times at home, you should know where you stand in terms of your time. So if you're doing a 5 to 7 minute speech and at home you're doing it's 8 minutes and 30 seconds, that should give you a clue that you need to take some information edited out of your speech. Conversely, if you're at home and your speech is only 3.5 minutes, that should be a light bulb should go off over your head, saying, "Hey, I don't think I have enough information here." And if you're the type of person that maybe has a tendency to go long, all you have to do is in your conclusion, and I mentioned this in the conclusion video, but all you have to say is that, "Hey, due to time constraints today, I was only allowed to give you a brief overview of what a physical therapist is and what they do. However, if you're interested in learning more about this wonderful career field," and then you could recommend a website or something like that. Okay? So note cards, you're allowed to use as many note cards or pieces of regular paper as you'd like. You need to use a minimum of 4 outside sources in your speech, okay? In other words, you need to verbally cite your sources within the body of your speech, okay? You'll see I have a handout in the Speech 2 related handouts folder that's tips for Speech 2, basically is the name of it, I think. But anyways, it gives examples on how to cite sources. Citing the sources in a paper, right, is a pain in the butt, whether you're using MLA or APA or whatever. But citing your sources in a speech is so easy. All you have to do is let the audience know from where you obtain the information. So let's say I was going to give the figures on the average salary for a fireman. I would say something along the lines of, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, the average firefighter in the United States makes X amount of $1,000 per year. And then, so basically what I just did real quickly is I said, hey, according to this website, according to this source, the average firefighter makes X amount per year. Or if I were citing, let's say, an article, I would say, let's say it was about being a pharmacist. It might be something like, according to a New York Times online article, Susan Smith, a pharmacist with 25 years experience, says that blah, blah, blah. So I've just cited the source, and then I've let the audience know, hey, this is the credentials for the person that I'm quoting, okay? And then I actually give the quote. So it's vitally important in the same fashion that when you write a paper, if it's any information that is not common knowledge or your personal opinion, then it needs to be cited, okay? And that's hugely important. If you turn in a speech when I require you to use sources and you don't cite those sources in the speech, I might make you do the speech over again. I might give you just a flat out F for failing to follow directions. So when I say cite your sources in the speech, I am not kidding, okay? So I talk more about that in the introductions and the conclusion videos that I will send to you, okay? Speech outline. Every student will submit a typed outline with their recorded submission. I do not have any specific guidelines for how you construct your outline, only that it is typed, okay? Additionally, you must list your sources on your outline. I do not require a formal works cited page, however, I do require that you list your sources somewhere on your outline, okay? This is a requirement for the assignment. Any speech recording submission submitted without a typed outline will not be accepted, okay? I'm deadly serious about this now. I need, when you send me your speech, I need the actual speech, whether it's the YouTube link or the actual recorded speech as an attachment or whatever, but I need you to send me that outline also, okay? Either as a Word or PDF document, okay? I'm deadly serious about that, okay? Okay, so please make sure that you watch the introduction and conclusion videos. Take a look at the materials in the Speech 2 related handouts folder. Also, please, I believe in the Speech 2 related handouts folder, there's also a sample rubric. You'll see that since this speech is worth 20 points, that the intro, main body, and conclusion, and the actual delivery of your speech are each worth 5 points. If you look at that sample rubric, you'll see what I'm looking for from each section of your speech, okay? And then, of course, if you have any questions, just shoot me off an email, okay? All right, well, I hope you all are well, and I will be in touch with you guys real soon. So have a nice weekend and take care.